hope you're all safe and well and that you're finishing up your position arguments okay. I'm going to post the outline again for this video lecture in Canvas with the hope of making it easier to follow along. Today I'm going to talk about the elements of proposal. We're going to look at an example of a failed proposal and then go through a case example of a good proposal, and then I'll go over the assignment sheet for the proposal. Let's jump in. So the elements of a proposal are listed on page 159 of your New Harbor's Guide. A proposal is a message that calls for improvement, calling an audience to action using a rhetorical ought, meaning the audience ought to take this action about this problem. There are 4 basic components to a proposal. 1, identification and definition of the problem. 2, a stated solution with clear, discrete steps or processes for implementation. 3, a demonstration of feasibility, with feasibility meaning that the solution is practical to implement. And then finally, 4, a direct address of acceptability to the audience, meaning that it meets their needs and interests. So proposals commonly have the following features. There's a clear, identifiable problem that the proposal seeks to resolve. This problem is of concern to a significant number of people. The proposed solution will resolve the problem in a way these people will find acceptable without harming or greatly inconveniencing others. The proposal contains specific details about the costs, feasibility, acceptability, and benefits of the solution. The proposal is directed to an appropriate audience and demonstrates a good understanding of that audience's needs and interests. And finally, the proposal clearly explains the steps or processes required to enact the solution. So here we're going to watch a video of an ineffective proposal, and then I'll walk through what makes it ineffective.
2 birds with 1 stone. Although birds are no longer the problems we need to kill, the idea of achieving 2 goals simultaneously still remains very much a part of the human experience. Every day, we use over 400 million gallons of fuel. There is so much compost in the world. We're looking in the eyes of 2 horrible birds, and we just need a rock that is big enough, efficient enough, and innovative enough to bludgeon them. That rock is an idea. My idea to create a car that runs on compost. So how does it work? Well, it's quite simple. Instead of using gas, it uses compost. Compostization. That's my idea for what we'll call the process of converting compost into fuel. The idea is there. It just needs implementation. Step 1, devise an idea to create a car that runs on compost. Step 2, create the car. We've already completed step 1. We're halfway there. I'm an idea man. I link up with implementers, and then we share the money. Once the car is produced, we will sell its designs to a major automaker. That's another idea. We just need people to do those things. It'd be great if the car itself were compostable. In my mind, we could construct the car using technologies already available to us for just half the cost. Economists will try to tell you this is impossible. I've already thought of that. Feasibility deals with implementation. I'm not involved in that. Get the best engineers, pay them double what they make, and I'm confident they will do this. The upside is just too great not to. If my idea is implemented correctly, there could be a new job for every car made. Some of you will be able to have 2 jobs, but you'll still have time to do your current jobs as well. With the car being sold to the entire world, and my team of engineers and I profiting wholeheartedly, imagine what other groundbreaking ideas I could be thinking of. Behind every great achievement is a visionary. I'll be You're visionary, and you do the things I come up with. Thank you.
So why is this not an effective proposal? Consider the 4 basic components of a proposal. Does the video have them? So 1, identification and definition of the problem, yes. Gas-powered cars cause pollution and deplete natural resources. 2, a stated solution with clear, discrete steps or processes for implementation, no. The solution is a compost car, but the steps and processes for implementation are the important part, and it doesn't have those. 3rd, a demonstration of feasibility. Does he show that it's practical to implement? No. He even says, right, feasibility deals with implementation. I'm not involved in that. And then finally, a direct address of acceptability to the audience. No, because it's impossible to demonstrate acceptability without providing the steps and processes for implementation and demonstrating feasibility. So basically, he skips over all the most important elements of an effective proposal. And that is the source of the humor. So before we look at a case example of like an effective proposal, I want to go through the process of reading proposals rhetorically. So reading a proposal rhetorically means working through the following steps. First, identify the problem itself. So you're going to assess whether a significant problem actually exists and why it hasn't been resolved before, and then consider who exactly this problem affects and to what extent. Next, you're going to evaluate the proposed solution. So you're going to take into consideration the amount and quality of research the author has undertaken before advising readers what ought to be done. And then you're going to consider how feasible and acceptable the proposal is in terms of cost, time, and effectiveness. Next, you're going to weigh the pros and cons of enacting the proposal. So for a proposed solution to be effective, the benefits should outweigh the costs. The proposal should have proven that the solution is better than the alternative. And with this in mind, you want to assess the reasons the author provides for justifying this proposal. So now we'll jump in with this knowledge to the case example. So the example we're going to walk through is on page 160 to 161 in your new Harbrace guide. It's called Raise Pennsylvania's Minimum Wage. Everyone benefits when all workers make a decent living. And it's a letter to the editor by Simon Arias, published initially in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. So first we're looking for a clear identifiable problem, right? He clearly identifies the problem right off the bat. Quote, Pennsylvania's minimum wage has been stuck at $7.25 an hour since 2009, which is bad for business as well as workers. And then the next element, he demonstrates the problem is of concern to a significant number of people. He presents evidence for why the minimum wage is a problem in the first place. Workers are customers, and if workers are not making money, they will not spend money, which means a low minimum wage is bad for workers and businesses. And then he presents the most troubling effects of the current minimum wage. The current minimum wage keeps workers in poverty and hurts the economy. And he establishes his own ethos as a successful business owner himself and uses his personal experience as a life insurance agent to provide details about the concrete negative effects that a non-living minimum wage has on people he encounters on a daily basis in his work. Next, he demonstrates that the proposed solution will resolve the problem in a way that people find acceptable. So the proposed solution is to raise the minimum wage to $10.10 an hour. Quote, it will increase the wages of more than 1 million workers, boosting sales at Main Street businesses across our state. So workers will benefit from the solution, and then also business owners, whom others might argue would be most negatively affected by raising the minimum wage, will also benefit from increased sales. And then he gives specific details about the costs, feasibility, acceptability, and benefits of the solution. So the costs, he admittedly doesn't spend much time on the costs of the solution, presumably because the tangible costs are obvious, right? Business owners will have to pay their employees $2.95 more an hour. For feasibility, right, he increases his ethos and demonstrates acceptability through his personal experience as a small business owner who pays his employees a living wage that's actually higher than the minimum wage of $10.10 that he's proposing. He pays them $15 an hour. And so then acceptability, paying a living wage has not harmed his small business, and 61% of small business owners favor a $10.10 minimum wage. Then he goes through the benefits. So raising the minimum wage will help provide basic daily needs for workers. Raising the minimum wage will allow workers to ensure their futures. Paying a living wage, quote, has been a sustaining factor in the growth, close quote, of his business. Employees are focused on their work, and his business has a low turnover rate, meaning that employees stay there because they're happy there. He's not constantly having to hire new people because other people have left because they would rather work somewhere else. And then higher quality work from employees means higher customer satisfaction, which means more business. Is the proposal directed to an appropriate audience? I'd say yes. It's directed to business owners, especially small business owners. And they are the people who could make the change, which is what makes them an appropriate audience. And the possible negative effects that a higher minimum wage could have on small business owners is frequently invoked in arguments against raising the minimum wage. So he implicitly addresses counter-arguments through his chosen audience. He demonstrates a good understanding of his audience's needs and interests, right? His evidence and argument are pitched toward the needs, interests, and possible concerns of his audience of small business owners. And then the proposal definitely clearly explains the steps or processes required to enact the solution. So those are, so he provides a tangible solution, right? That small business owners can sign the Pennsylvania Business for a Fair Minimum Wage Statement, which contributes to a more broadly outlined solution of raising the minimum wage in the state. So the groups need to band together in support of a higher minimum wage so that the issue can be put up to a vote. So now we'll go over the proposal assignment. So the overview. For this assignment, you will write a proposal argument in response to a problem that you would like to be solved. A proposal argument defines a problem and calls for action by presenting a viable solution to that problem. Successful proposals are specific in both their description of a problem and the details required to solve that problem. Proposals should address practical considerations about the costs, feasibility, acceptability, and benefits of a specific solution. A proposal outlines the steps or processes required to bring a solution to action. Processes, which describe the order in which certain action is supposed to be taken, require you to think about the resources and constraints available when applying or implementing certain ideas or actions. Because actions have consequences, you should also think about the implications of your recommendations. Consequences often present ethical, moral, and practical challenges or objections to proposed solutions or parts of a solution. These challenges must be resolved before most audiences will accept your proposal. So the formatting details. Formatting your proposal argument will Formatting your proposal argument will differ from essay format in that your proposal will contain front matter, body text, and end matter. Your proposal argument may also utilize headings and visuals. Your front matter will include a title page. So that includes the title of your proposal, the audience of your report, who wrote the report, you, and the date. Type each of these items on a separate line and center each line. Then an executive summary. So this is on a new page. Your executive summary includes the title of the proposal and your name at the top. Then it describes the problem and your solution in a single paragraph. The body of your proposal will contain the following information. Create your own informative headings to distinguish between sections. So first, a statement of the problem. This introduces the problem and establishes the relevance of the problem for your audience. Then a description of the solution. This describes the solution and the steps needed to implement it. Next, an explanation of reasons. Provides your reasoning and/or your evidence in support of your proposed solution. You will also address any available alternatives as well as possible counterarguments to your solution. Finally, a conclusion. This section summarizes and reinforces your main points, considers the larger implications of your solution, and indicates if there are any further solutions to consider and/or issues a call to action. The following content will comprise your end matter. So, a works cited. You want to be sure to follow exactly the citation guide in your textbook or the library guide, or use Purdue OWL. The works cited list is never numbered, but is always alphabetized. Every reference on the list should match a clearly labeled in-text citation in the body of your proposal. An optional appendix. So any documents or visuals that might be too large for the body of your proposal may be included in an appendix. Be sure to label each item. Your final draft should include 2 pages for front matter, 4 to 5 double-spaced pages for body content, and at least 1 page for end matter, the works cited, and the optional appendix. So a total of 7 to 10 pages. You are encouraged to include headings in the body text and visuals if relevant. When citing your outside sources, follow MLA. So the recommended process. First, identifying a problem. So first, identify a problem that you would like to see solved. This should be a problem that has special...
Have you ever had a dream that you want him to do you so much you could do anything?
That has special interest to you, but is manageable in scope. Problems that are too large or abstract will be difficult to write about in a detailed and precise manner given the length constraints of this assignment. If you have selected a large-scale topic, say U.S. immigration or global warming, consider how you can narrow your focus to make your topic more manageable. So like address a smaller problem contained within the larger problem. Proposals often contain one or more of the following argumentative structures. So something may be wrong that needs to be changed or corrected. For example, to provide a better climate for learning, the Altoona School District should create a peer tutoring program. Something may be lacking that needs to be added. For example, the Little Lions Swim Club should hire a full-time coach. Something worthwhile may not be working properly and needs to be improved. For example, Ferguson Township's recycling program should be expanded to include curbside pickup. A situation may need to be redefined in order to find new approaches or solutions. So, for example, the benefits program for employees of McLean's Healthcare Association should be revised to create a fairer maternity or family leave policy. Next, conducting background research. Before you get too far on your project, do some preliminary research to identify what solutions have already been proposed to solve this problem. What do you like or dislike about these proposed solutions? Do you have something new to offer to these conversations? If no solution has been previously discussed, consider the reasons for why this is. Remember, if your audience doesn't think a problem exists, you'll need to convince them of that first. Then, identifying a solution. So, after studying existing positions and solutions surrounding your selected problem, formulate a solution that will address that problem. Your solution does not necessarily have to resolve the entirety of a problem. In your introduction, explain the problem and address an audience who can benefit from and participate in the solution your proposal addresses. Next, creating a step-by-step plan. So provide a detailed description of your solution in your body paragraphs. Your proposed plan of action should explore the costs and benefits, meaning the feasibility of your solution. Each step in your proposal must be well researched and credible. You will need to include evidence that supports your claims and anticipates the objections that readers might have. Use the library resources available to you, but you may also conduct field research to support your position. Example, interviewing an expert, surveying a representative group of people, or observing patterns. At least one of your outside sources should focus on an alternative solution to your problem, or should speak to why this problem has not already been solved. Finally, finishing strong. By the end of your proposal, your audience should have a clear plan of action that is feasible and relevant to them. Your solution should be mutually beneficial for both you and your audience. And then finally, the grading criteria. Your proposal argument will be evaluated according to the PWR grading standards and the following criteria. The proposal defines a problem for a real group of people and outlines a plan of action for resolving this problem. The proposal is directed to a specific individual or group of people who are named in the proposal and whose interests, values, priorities, and abilities shaped the argument. The body of your proposal uses rhetorical techniques and relevant research to persuade readers that a problem exists and that the proposed solution is feasible. The proposal includes a minimum of 3 credible sources and cites these sources properly, both in the body text and the works cited page, and finally, the proposal is correctly formatted. All right, so that's it for this lecture. There's going to be another one coming soon where we look at identifying a problem and finding like the roots of problems in order to find a good solution. Good luck finishing your position arguments. That's it. Sorry. Bye.